Have you ever wondered why some people, even in their 70s or 80s, still radiate an extraordinary charm without being loud, without standing out? Yet others are naturally drawn to them, eager to listen, to connect. In a small riverside town in Oregon, I once met Mr. William, 76 years old, silver hair, deep-set eyes, and a calm, gentle smile. He didn't talk much, never bragged about his achievements, and never tried to show off. But every time he walked into the morning cafe, everyone, from staff to regulars, greeted him with respect and affection. You see, there's a kind of charm that doesn't lie in appearance, that doesn't need effort to attract, but lives in the energy you give off, the experience, the steadiness, and the warmth of your presence. Sadly, many people after 70 begin to withdraw from social interactions, thinking that age is the reason they've lost their appeal. They forget that it's at this very age that you truly possess the life experience, calm and depth to become captivating in a uniquely powerful way. Today's video will show you simple yet profound ways to reignite that natural magnetism, from how you listen, ask questions, to creating conversations that touch the heart of the person sitting across from you. If you're looking for a path back to yourself, only this time, the most captivating version of you without needing to say too much, then stay with me. And if you find this content helpful, please click like or share it with your loved ones of the same age. I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments, because every opinion shared is a valuable part of building this inspiring community. Now let's explore together how to not only live long, but live deeply. Live with quiet charm that no one can resist. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt drawn to someone? Not because they were dressed strikingly, nor because they were saying anything particularly special, but simply because of the energy they gave off. That feeling isn't random. It comes from very real signals that an optimistic, positive person transmits through a genuine smile, warm eyes, and a resilient attitude toward life. Ask yourself this: when you show up at a gathering or simply your neighborhood coffee shop, what do you leave behind in the minds of others? Do they feel lighter, more uplifted, or do they feel guarded, keeping their distance? At the age of 70 or 80, many people mistakenly believe that their life energy has begun to fade. But in truth, it is at this age that you possess a new kind of strength, a calmness, a wealth of experience, and a deeper lens through which you view the world. A study from Harvard University once revealed that those who maintain a positive attitude and smile regularly tend to live longer and sustain higher quality relationships. But beyond the health benefits, the more important truth is this: a positive outlook makes you feel safe to others, someone they can open up to, listen to, and trust. A person who knows how to smile, even in hardship, sends out a signal that says, "I've been through a lot. I'm not easily shaken by negativity, and I might just be a place where you can find peace." The truth is, nurturing positive energy doesn't require dramatic changes. It could start with simply smiling at yourself in the mirror each morning. Take 5 minutes to reflect on something you're grateful for, or gently shifting from saying, "I'm old, no one pays attention to me anymore," to "I still have many good things to share." A positive attitude doesn't come from everything going smoothly. It comes from a choice. The choice to look at the bright side, to hold on to gratitude, to not let the past dictate the present. And the wonderful thing is, you can always choose again, no matter your age. If yesterday you lost your temper over something small, today you can smile and say, "That really wasn't worth getting upset over." If you used to feel pessimistic about your health, You can start by saying, "I'm still well enough to take a walk every afternoon," and that's something to cherish. Through the energy you give off, you're teaching others how to live. Your positivity can be the bridge that connects lonely hearts. It could be the pharmacist at the local drugstore, the mail carrier, or someone you meet in a yoga class. Just one sincere smile, one cheerful greeting, could be enough to make their day a little easier. And when you do it, not to impress, not to seek praise, but simply because it feels right, then you become attractive in the deepest and most meaningful way. From here, let's continue. If positive energy is the first signal of attraction, then listening is the gateway to the heart that allows you to truly connect with others. When someone shares their story, are you truly listening, or just waiting for your turn to speak? This question may sound simple, but it clearly distinguishes between someone who is merely physically present and someone who is truly present with their heart. At the age of 70 or 80, you may have had thousands of conversations, listened to hundreds of times, but active listening, listening to understand, not to respond, is a different art, an art that makes you incredibly captivating without the need for eloquent words. Why is that? Because in a world that's growing increasingly noisy, where everyone wants to express their opinions, the person who stays silent to listen becomes a rare presence, one that offers a sense of safety and being understood. Active listening is when you set aside your own thoughts, look directly into the speaker's eyes, and use your gaze and body language to say, "I'm here, with you." It's when you don't interrupt, don't rush to give advice, but instead ask open-ended questions like, "How did you feel at that moment?" or "What did that mean to you?" Such simple actions can create deep connections, because when someone feels truly heard, they feel valued, and the person who makes them feel that way will always hold a special place in their heart. Active listening is also a sign of humility and respect. You're not trying to prove that you know more, have lived longer, or experienced more. You're simply present as a companion, a quiet mirror in which the other person can see themselves more clearly. The wonderful thing is, this can be practiced anytime. Start by putting your phone away when talking to someone. Focus entirely on what they're saying, not just with your ears, but with your eyes and your heart. Don't hesitate to pause for a few seconds after they finish speaking. Sometimes that silence is the space where true emotions begin to surface. And remember, you don't need to solve other people's problems. Just being there and listening sincerely, that's enough. It's a gift no one can resist. At this age, you no longer need to win an argument. What you need is a connection. You need meaningful conversations where simply by listening, you help someone feel seen and acknowledged. And in Western culture, where individuality and independence are highly valued, someone who listens without judgment like you becomes a healing presence. When you become the person others come to for sharing, for release, simply to be heard, you are becoming attractive in a way that words can't describe. You become someone people want to keep close. From warm presence to genuine listening, we're steadily building a quiet but lasting charm. And the next step is mastering the art of communication, where every word you speak carries weight and meaning. Communication is not just about expressing your thoughts. It's about creating a safe space where both people can share what's truly in their hearts. At the age of 70 or 80, you don't need to speak much to show that you understand life. What matters is saying the right thing, at the right time, in the right way, and especially knowing when silence is more powerful than words. Mastering the art of communication at this age is not like when you were working, where speed, sharpness, or logic were the main tools. Now, your appeal lies in depth, in the way you listen, share, and respond. As someone who's lived long enough to understand that everything happens for a reason, and everyone has a story that deserves respect. You can begin with non-judgmental questions. What did that mean to you? Or, what did you take away from that experience? These questions open the door to real conversation. And when you share, speak from your experience honestly, without embellishment. People are drawn to sincerity, not perfection. Effective communication doesn't come from fancy techniques. It comes from being fully present, giving the other person the feeling that they're speaking to a real human being, not someone playing a social role. Think back to the last time you had a conversation so engaging you lost track of time, maybe in the park, at a community gathering, or simply with an old neighbor. Those moments are precious, not because the content of the conversation was exceptional, but because both people were truly present and connected. At your age, you possess a great treasure, stories. But what matters isn't how many you tell, it's how you tell them. When you speak calmly, deliberately, and with an open, listening gaze, every word you say carries weight. Communication also includes non-verbal language, eye contact, gestures, the way you nod, or even the gentle touch on someone's hand when they're emotional. These small actions, if they come from sincerity, speak louder than 1,000 words. And if you want your conversations to be memorable, keep a little humor, a touch of self-deprecation. Don't be afraid to laugh at the small things or admit that you were wrong. These make you more relatable and likable. The place where a 70-year-old shines isn't in overpowering others with reasoning. It's in slowing down, understanding, and creating a space where others feel safe to open up. You don't need to always be right. You just need to always be real. In Western society, where haste and competition have become second nature, someone who communicates with sincerity, not proof, will always be a cherished stop in someone's busy life. And when you become that kind of person, you'll never be short of meaningful conversations. From this heartfelt way of communicating, we now move on to the next element, something seemingly light, but in truth, a key to spreading daily joy, a sense of humor. A well-timed smile can shift the mood of an entire room. A light, witty remark, no need to be overly clever or sharp, can be enough to help someone feel more at ease, more connected. A sense of humor isn't a natural-born talent. It's a way of living. And at age 70 or 80, that choice becomes even more precious. You might ask yourself, what's there to laugh about when I've witnessed so much loss, challenge, and change? But it is precisely because you've been through all of that that your smile carries weight. It has the power to spread. It doesn't come from innocence, but from a mature kind of acceptance. In a world growing more tense, where everyone tries hard to appear okay, someone who can still laugh, even when things aren't perfect, has a uniquely magnetic charm. You don't laugh because everything is great. You laugh because you choose to focus on the bright side. You choose lightness. Cultivating a sense of humor doesn't mean you have to be the funny one in the group. It can simply be how you recount a small mishap you've had, with a playful attitude, like forgetting your glasses at the store and accidentally buying unsweetened almond milk instead of chocolate milk. And instead of getting upset, you laugh and tell it like a funny story. It's how you embrace senior moments with grace and humor. People enjoy being around those who make them feel light, and nothing lightens the human spirit like laughter. Older adults are often seen as outdated or in need of help. Humor is a way to reclaim your agency in social interaction. When you make young people laugh, you bridge the generation gap. When you make fellow seniors laugh, you inspire them to live fully. And remember, humor isn't about sarcasm or mocking others. It's about being able to look at yourself with kindness. Like when you sit in the park, see a squirrel stealing birdseed, and instead of scolding it, you say, "He's just living like me. When I see something good, I take it home." Try writing down the little funny things that happen in your day. Share them. Embrace awkward or ridiculous moments with the mindset, "Well, at least it gives me a good story to tell." And when you tell it, do so with a sparkle in your eyes and a genuine smile. A warm heart plus a touch of humor equals an irresistible combination. People will remember you not for being overly wise, but because you made life feel delightfully human. And above all, laughter, especially from someone who's seen life in all its forms, is a rare and precious gift. It soothes you while being a nourishing tonic for anyone who hears it. From the gentle power of laughter, we now move to something more visible but equally important: a neat and presentable appearance, a subtle sign of respect for yourself and those around you. People often say, "True beauty comes from within." And that's true, but it doesn't mean your appearance doesn't matter. Especially when you've reached the age of 70 or 80, keeping a neat and presentable appearance isn't about looking younger, but about sending a message. I still value myself, and I value you too. Being well-groomed doesn't require expensive clothes or elaborate makeup. It could simply mean choosing a clean, well-fitting shirt, shaving neatly each morning, wearing a touch of that familiar mint-scented cologne. These are ways of showing that you are still living, not just getting by. Why is this so attractive? Because in Western culture, where aging is often associated with stepping back, taking care of your appearance sends a powerful signal. I still have something to offer, to be present, to be seen. And people are always drawn to those who show up with quiet confidence. Your appearance is the first doorway through which others approach you. Someone who dresses neatly, smiles warmly, and carries a calm demeanor makes others feel at ease, eager to start a conversation. They may not say it aloud, but inside, they're thinking, "This person must have something worth hearing." Being well-groomed is also a sign of self-respect. You don't need anyone to remind you to straighten your collar or wear clean shoes. You do it because you know you deserve to show up as your best self, even if it's just for a morning walk in the park or a quick stop at the neighborhood bakery. When you take care of your appearance, you also nurture your inner spirit. There's a strange but powerful connection between wearing an outfit you love and feeling confident all day. When you look in the mirror and think, "I look good," you walk out the door with a completely different energy. And the beautiful part is, you can do this every day with small, simple acts. Organize your wardrobe to make it easier to choose outfits. Keep a few favorite outfits ready for special moments. Trim your nails, comb your hair, polish your old shoes. These little details make a big difference. Think about someone you only met once but still remember. Maybe it was because of their elegant scarf, their well-kept leather shoes, or simply the way they wore a hat and smiled. These details are not small. They are your silent introduction to the world. At this age, you don't need to chase fashion trends. You only need to stay true to the style that makes you feel most like yourself. And when you show up feeling whole, comfortable in your own skin, you emit a kind of charm that's hard to explain. Self-care isn't just a young person's job. It's a lifelong practice. And the older you get, the more it becomes a way of quietly reminding yourself, I'm still living a meaningful life, and I want to walk this path with grace. From tending to the outside, we now take one step further, inward, to discover the most profound source of lasting charm, living true to yourself. There's a kind of charm that doesn't come from appearance, intelligence, or eloquence, but from the courage to live true to who you are. At age 70 or 80, the most valuable thing you can offer the world is not what you know, but who you truly are. Living authentically doesn't mean saying whatever you want, or this is me, take it or leave it. It's a courageous journey of peeling back the layers that society, family, and even yourself have placed on you over the decades. It's looking inward and accepting. I have flaws. I've made mistakes. I've changed. And I no longer need to hide that. In a society that celebrates individuality yet constantly pressures us to perform, living authentically is a form of spiritual elegance. People are tired of pretending to be okay, of having to play strong. So, when they meet someone who doesn't try to impress, who isn't afraid to show vulnerability, who can say, I don't know, or I used to be afraid of that, they feel instantly at ease. And you, at this age, are precisely the one who can offer that ease, because you're no longer caught in the race to prove yourself. You've lived long enough to know that authenticity doesn't make you weak. It makes you powerful in a much deeper way. Think back to the last time you truly said what you felt, with no filter. It felt like taking a deep breath after holding it in for too long. You felt lighter, you saw yourself clearly, and interestingly, the person across from you likely felt safer too. They realized they didn't need to put up walls. Living truthfully also means living according to your values, even if they're not trendy. If you prefer quiet to noise, nature over technology, real relationships over social media, then live that way. You don't need anyone's permission to be yourself. When you live authentically, you send out a silent message. I've found my place in my own life. I'm not perfect, but I am enough. And that sense of enough honesty, enough depth, enough clarity, creates a kind of magnetic pull stronger than any effort to impress. Especially in everyday interactions, when you dare to say, I've felt lonely, in a room full of cheerful chatter. When you allow yourself to cry at a family gathering without shame. When you openly share your past mistakes as meaningful parts of your life's journey. You not only become loved, you inspire others to live more honestly too. People don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real. Because truth has the power to heal. And you, someone who's weathered the highs and lows, are living proof of that. From living authentically, we now move on to something everyone talks about, but not everyone embraces, accepting your age and learning to see time as a companion, not an enemy. Age is not something to hide. It is a badge of honor, worn over your heart, a testament to everything you've lived through, overcome, and learned. But in a world that glorifies youth and vitality, it's easy to feel out of sync with your body and face as you move into your 70s and 80s. Yet true magnetism comes not from running from age, but from embracing it. When you dare to look at your wrinkles and say, these are proof that I've laughed, I've cried, I've lived fully. When you stop trying to hide the slowing pace of life and instead use it to feel life more clearly, more deeply. Accepting your age doesn't mean giving up on self-care, but caring for yourself with more kindness. It's choosing healthy food not to drop weight fast, but because you want to live longer and better. It's doing gentle morning exercise, not because it's trendy, but because you cherish each strong step you can still take. In a media landscape obsessed with anti-aging, you become truly remarkable when you dare to say, "I don't need to fight aging, I live with it, and I befriend it." When you tell a story with bright eyes, no one notices the crow's feet around them. When you walk with confidence, no one cares about your pace. People are drawn to life energy, not birth years. This acceptance also sets you free from unnecessary expectations. You no longer compare yourself to youthful models on television. You no longer feel embarrassed to ask for help climbing the stairs. You no longer feel the need to make people think I'm still young. You just need to be yourself, and that is enough. Accepting your age helps you see others through a gentler lens. You understand the young who are still finding their way because you were once there. You're patient with those older than you because you know the loneliness that can come with fragile health. You become someone others want to be near, not because you're still young, but because you've lived enough to stop pretending. When you live as a mirror of acceptance, with no bitterness, no complaint, just calm, you offer others a priceless lesson that aging isn't something to fear when it's done with dignity, freedom, and peace. Remember, age doesn't take away your attractiveness. It reveals a deeper kind, the kind that makes people want to listen, to learn, to stay close. And from this free, wholehearted acceptance, we step into a deeply human trait, where charm is shown not through words or appearance, but through simple, powerful actions, generosity. There is a unique kind of beauty in generous people, not because they give a lot, but because they give quietly, without seeking recognition, without expecting anything in return. At the age of 70 or 80, you don't need to say that you're generous. Simply showing up as someone willing to share your time, your attention, your wisdom, or a warm hug is enough for others to feel the deep magnetism within you. Generosity doesn't have to mean donating money or possessions. It can be listening to someone's story without interrupting, sharing what you've learned with the younger generation, not to instruct, but to pass on. It can be gently changing the subject during a group meeting to help someone who's feeling uncomfortable feel more at ease. In a society that values independence, generosity carries an even deeper meaning. It becomes a quiet way of connecting people. When you share without controlling, when you help without making anyone feel small, you create a safe space where others feel free to be themselves without fear of judgment. True generosity is never loud. It's like a soft light, not blinding, but warm enough to brighten an entire room. And those who carry that light are always remembered, even when they never seek attention. Imagine this. You walk into a community gathering, not to be noticed, but to share. You check in on someone with sincere eye contact. You tell a light-hearted story that makes someone chuckle. You pour a little more coffee for the person next to you without needing a thank you. These small actions, repeated day by day, paint a portrait. You are someone who makes life feel easier for others. Generosity is also something you give to yourself. When you offer positive energy, kindness, and companionship, you nourish your own heart. Generous people often live longer, not just because they're more active, but because they feel they still have purpose. And that's one of the most powerful tonics for the soul. And when you give without needing anyone to know, you're living in the highest state of freedom. Freedom from expectations, freedom from ego, freedom from needing to prove something. You give because you want to, and because you can. The kind of magnetism that comes from generosity doesn't arrive instantly, but it lasts. People may forget what you said, but they won't forget how you made them feel seen, cared for, and valued. And that's enough to be loved, not through showiness, not from being in the spotlight. From this spirit of generosity, we now move toward another rare and powerful quality, one that deepens every connection: patience and empathy. In a fast-paced world where everything is measured by speed and efficiency, patience and empathy have become almost rare delicacies. And you, someone who has lived through 7 or 8 decades of life, are exactly the person who can offer that precious gift to those around you. Patience isn't just about waiting for someone to finish their sentence. It's the art of holding yourself back, resisting the urge to interrupt, to correct too quickly, to offer solutions too soon. It's giving others the time they need to find their words, express their emotions, or move at their own pace without making them feel pressured by yours. And empathy? It doesn't mean you always agree. It means you try to see things from the other person's perspective, asking yourself, if I were them, how would I feel? You don't need to fix their emotions. You just need to acknowledge them. And that simple act, when done sincerely, can change the course of a relationship. At this age, you have a great advantage. You've experienced enough to know that everything happens for a reason. You no longer need to win an argument. You just want to understand what's really going on. Your calmness, guided by empathy, can become a spiritual refuge for those feeling lost. Imagine speaking with a young person who's uncertain about their future. Instead of saying, "Just do what I did," or "Stop overthinking," you might say, "I know that feeling. I wasn't sure what to do at one point either. I'm here if you want to talk more." That's all it takes to plant a seed of trust. Patience and empathy also show up in the smallest gestures, not getting frustrated when someone reacts differently than expected, not forcing your views just because you're older, not judging someone based on a first impression. You let them be who they are, just as you hope others let you be yourself. If personal freedom is the core value, then empathy is the glue that holds people together. It's not control, it's companionship. People don't need you to always be right. They need to know that if they fall, you won't walk away. And here's something beautiful. When you practice patience and empathy with others, you also offer it to yourself. You forgive the things you once did wrong. You stop pushing yourself to always be positive or strong. You give yourself permission to rest, to dream, to be a little vulnerable. Patience and empathy are like invisible arms embracing every meaningful relationship. And when you're the one carrying those qualities, you don't just become attractive. You become someone others trust, remember, and want close. From this deep compassion, we move to a pivotal milestone in the journey of quiet magnetism, living with purpose, a guiding light that shines from within. Nothing makes a person more captivating than knowing what they're living for. Not merely existing, not killing time, not waiting for the end, but living with a clear sense that I'm here to do something meaningful. At 70 or 80, you may have fulfilled the major roles in life: parent, worker, community contributor. But that doesn't mean your roles are over. In fact, this may be the chapter where you live most fully, because you're no longer bound by others' expectations and can finally listen to what truly matters in your heart. Living with purpose doesn't need to be grand. You don't need to start a foundation, write a book, or become a public speaker. Purpose can be as simple as bringing a smile to someone's face each day, tending a garden as though every leaf helps heal your soul. Calling an old friend to check in. Telling your life stories to your grandchildren so they understand that true worth doesn't come from titles or degrees, but from kindness and perseverance. In Western culture, where productivity and achievements are highly valued, an older person who still lives with a clear sense of purpose is rare and deeply admirable. You don't just maintain your vitality, you become a role model for the younger generation, showing that slowing down doesn't mean fading away. And when you live with purpose, your eyes carry fire, your voice has depth, your steps carry weight. People can sense the certainty and conviction in everything you do, even in the smallest acts. This also keeps you younger, not in appearance, but in spirit. Because when you have a reason to get up each morning, something to work on, something to move toward, you never feel unnecessary. You feel needed. And that feeling heals many invisible wounds. You might write your purpose on a small piece of paper and place it where you'll see it often. Let it guide every action, every decision. And each time you do something, no matter how small, ask yourself, does this bring me closer to what I'm living for? A person who lives with purpose is never empty. They carry within them a quiet but powerful energy, one that makes others want to stay close, to learn, to journey alongside. They're like a lighthouse, not loud, not moving, but always there when someone needs direction. And once you live with a clear purpose, you begin to realize true happiness doesn't come from grand moments, but from the most ordinary ones. That is when we'll explore something seemingly small, yet deeply healing. The art of appreciating the simple things. On the long journey of life, something strange begins to happen. You realize that true happiness doesn't lie in grand events, but quietly hides in small, simple, everyday moments. So ordinary, they're easy to overlook. And when you learn to cherish those moments, you become profoundly attractive because you radiate a kind of peace the world deeply craves. It could be that early morning moment, sitting by the window with a hot cup of coffee, quietly watching the sunlight touch your neighbor's rooftop, or walking with someone in the park, saying nothing, just listening to the leaves rustle beneath your feet, or smiling at a stranger's child and receiving a pure, soul-stirring look in return. To cherish the simple things is to find joy in tending a small flower pot on your porch. It's the happiness of preparing a simple meal for someone you love. It's listening to an old song and letting memories drift back like an old friend. At age 70 or 80, you don't need distant adventures or lavish experiences to feel truly alive. You only need to be fully present in what seems ordinary. And that deep presence, the ability to slow down and feel deeply, is what sets you apart. In a busy world where everyone seems to be racing against time, your calmness, patience, and ability to pause and feel become a rare breeze. It draws people to you, as if returning to a peaceful harbor. And when you cherish the simple, you teach others to re-examine their own lives. They start noticing the morning bird song. They spend longer talking with loved ones. They write a handwritten letter instead of sending a quick text. You are doing something truly great, through the smallest acts. This isn't romanticizing life. This is the practice of living deeply. It's the ability to find meaning in the present, not needing a glorious past or a dazzling future. It's when you can smile and say, today was enough. And a person who can live like that, with deep gratitude in the present moment, radiates a gentle energy. They make others feel at ease. They are proof that a beautiful life doesn't have to be a big one. It just has to be consciously, fully lived, moment by moment. From these cherished simplicities, we now arrive at the final element, a quality that is the most enduring, the most inspiring, and the one with the longest-lasting impact. Being a good example, living to inspire through your actions. At the age of 70 or 80, you may no longer be concerned with changing the world, but there's still a way you are changing the world. Every day, little by little, by living as an example. No need for speeches, no need to impose anything. Just live true to the values you believe in, and let others see that. Being a good example doesn't mean living perfectly. On the contrary, it means living honestly, with integrity, kindness, and a heart still open to learning, no matter how many years you've lived. People don't learn much from theoretical lectures, but they always remember how you live, how you handle challenges, and how you treat others. Think back to the people who left a lasting mark on your life. It was probably not the most successful or the most famous. It was someone who lived by their conscience, who offered help willingly, and who quietly tried to do good, even when no one was watching. Now, you are that person, the one who can inspire, just by being present. When you stay honest in an age of pretense, when you are kind to strangers, when you remain calm in difficult moments, you are teaching life lessons no school could ever provide. In a time when moral values are constantly tested by speed and convenience, your choice to slow down and live rightly is a brave act. When you apologize first, even though you're older, when you listen without judgment, when you keep a promise, even for something small, you're planting seeds of integrity in others' hearts. Maybe you no longer have the energy to travel far or the time to start grand projects, but you can sit with your grandchild and explain why you've never cheated, not even once. You can share a mistake you made and the lesson you took from it. These small things, they are your legacy. Being an example also means continuing to grow. People often think aging is a time to pause. But in truth, you, if you're still learning, still adjusting, still opening your heart, are living proof that it's never too late to become a better version of yourself. And when you live this way, you're not just attractive, you leave a lasting impact. You're the person people will speak of with admiration. You're the one your grandchildren will one day say, "My grandparent lived like this." Not everyone leaves behind a financial inheritance, but everyone can leave a spiritual one. And you, with everything you've lived, are living, and are yet to live, are the proof of a life deeply meaningful, quietly radiant, and truly unforgettable. Thank you for walking with me through this journey of exploring the qualities that make you, in your 70s or 80s, quietly but undeniably magnetic. Your presence, filled with experience, warmth, and integrity, is a gift, not just for yourself, but for everyone fortunate enough to be near you. Together, we've revisited the power of a genuine smile, a well-timed question, and caring for your appearance, not to show off, but to reflect self-respect. We've talked about patience, empathy, authenticity, living with purpose, and the ability to inspire through action, not just words. And I wonder, of all these things, which one makes you feel most seen? Which have you already embodied? And which would you like to start living today? If you've learned something from this message, or if it touched your heart in some small way, allow yourself to begin with something simple. Maybe it's smiling at a stranger. Maybe it's calling an old friend. Maybe it's writing a few lines in a journal to remind yourself of the simple, precious things in life. And if you found this message meaningful, please share it. Perhaps someone feeling invisible in their twilight years will feel reignited by your gesture. I hope this won't be our last time walking together. There are many more journeys ahead, topics that are close to the heart, rich in meaning, and practical in nature, so you can not only live longer, but live deeper, more beautifully, and more meaningfully each day. Because you deserve that. Wherever you are, however you're living, remember this: it is never too late for you to begin to shine.